I'm going to kick us off. First of all, top line agenda item, new XP rewards end next Wednesday, May 28th. Guys, it's been a year of LayerDrone, a year of XP, and a year where we've had a way for people to contribute to the network without flying missions. And it's been really interesting and really great. To be clear, your XP contributions are valued. We are not just tossing them out. What is happening is on May 28th, basically LayerDrone is taking a snapshot of the tens of thousands of XP records and maintaining those for any future rewards tied to that. That is to say, if you have any XP, it is crucial that you make sure you have wallet and Discord connected to your Zealy. I will provide a quick little link with some instructions for doing that in just a moment. But to be clear, if you have been earning XP in the Discord, you almost certainly have it connected. In fact, you do have it connected. That wouldn't be possible otherwise. Likewise, if you have been earning XP, you almost certainly have a wallet connected that is valid. But does not hurt to check. That is the one thing that needs to be done before the end of the month. If you do want to make sure your XP totals are validated and you do qualify for any future rewards tied to that program. To be clear, we're going to continue to run community campaigns and reward you for your contributions. XP itself is no longer being rewarded. To put it simply, we don't need tons of point systems. I don't think we need to be spending tons of money on platforms for tracking additional point systems. I think things that matter to pilots is flying missions and getting rewards that are clear and tractable to them, like USDC or things of that effect. So we're going to be putting the time and resources into campaigns like that, things that are more tied to what pilots hopefully care about, while still hopefully giving you guys ways to interact with the network, even if you can't fly a mission immediately, or at least fly a demand-led one, because, again, a lot of planning and a lot of missions popping up every day, but they are getting flown faster than ever. As noted, May and June have seen a reduction in planned mission launches. On this call, we'll clarify what next week is looking like. And when I said spicy, I meant a lot of this planning it's pretty intense. It's taking a lot of thought and care, and it's hard to appreciate that on the other end just waiting for it. But Graham has been very heads down, and it is extremely appreciated because, honestly, I don't want to hurt those cats if I can help it. As noted last week, Esri Store was soft launched. That's a pretty big deal in this space. So Ben from Spexi, formerly Esri, is going to discuss what that means for the Spexi app and the LayerDrone network as a whole. A reminder, this isn't technically public information yet, so maybe don't scream it from the rafters.
Yeah,
scream away. One last reminder. May is the end of a lot of things and the start of a lot of new beginnings. Starting June 1st, the Mini2 app will stop working. But in better news, we've awarded our top 2 mini pilots with a special mission worth 400 USDC in hopes they'll upgrade their kit and keep flying the network. And
top three Mini2 pilots, was it not?
Our top 3 Mini2 pilots. There's a very good chance I might have conflated a 2 or 3 in there. It's why you might have seen me always write our top Mini2 pilots as opposed to our top 3 Mini2 pilots. It's intended to make you go a little bit insane. On that note, I want to congratulate our winners and our top Mini2 pilots of 2026 on their last flights. That's voluntary-owl, colossal-stingray, and zany-krill. I'm going to just share those.
Kudos to those fine pilots for all the flights done on the Mini2, the original workhorse of the network. I wonder if the 3 now has surpassed the Mini2 in total volume. Probably it has.
I could find out real fast. I could find out by the end of this call. I love our data now. It's so much better.
But I think that probably has. But the early days was all Mini2s. The Mini3 didn't have an SDK, and so the first year or so of the network was all flown on Mini2s.
Absolutely. And I got to say, one little peek behind the curtain I'll give you is our top 3 pilots were really our top 3 pilots. The difference between 3 and 4 was literally hundreds of flights. These guys were really, really flying a lot with those Mini2s, and it's very well deserved. It made it kind of easy to pick how many at the top of that pile when they were just so clearly neck and neck away from the pack. Graham, I'm going to run us through just some demand-led mission updates, and then I'm going to let you correct me on any of those updates and add anything to it before getting to next week's missions and delays. That sound good?
Let's do it.
All right. So, demand-led missions from this week. Calgary, Baltimore, and Miami have already been flown. From last week, Vancouver, Tulamini, Seattle, Toronto, and Cincinnati have all been flown. It's been fast. I believe we still have some LA missions requiring Lance authorization. I will let anyone correct me on that if I'm wrong. Otherwise, I believe we also have some LA missions that don't require Lance, but are maybe a little bit farther flung from that original package of 850 missions a little while back. If there are no corrections, I'm going to let Graham take us through missions.
Yeah, no corrections. There are still some left in LA. So if you are in the LA area and want to jump in and help finish those up and wrap those campaigns, that would be great. Those are all the grid mapping missions that are part of our partnership with Niantic Spatial. Announcement coming about that, as we've mentioned in the past as well, next week, and a sort of an official partnership announcement and go-to-market announcement. So that's pretty exciting. This week's launches, am I correct, Bryce? I think, yeah, we're Madison, Springfield, St. John, Spencer, Wichita, and Sheboygan. I know in St. John, thank you to Voluminous Salmon, who pointed out there were a few that had some cranes in them. One with a church, one or two with the cranes. Thank you, as always. Flight safety first. The team and the planning team and the guys do use the open and available data to try to remove tall obstacles, but it's imperfect science. And you, as the pilot, hit that report a Spexi button, snap a picture just like Voluminous Salmon did, and let us know either here or obviously via the ticket, and so we can reassess. So super helpful. That was in St. John. I think that one was. For next week, we will be moving forward with Regina Monday, Sherman, Texas Tuesday, Cedar Rapids, Iowa Wednesday, break on Thursday, I think, and then Auburn. Oh, we had something for, Regina should be on the 28th, I think. Regina, Saskatchewan on the 28th, and Friday, Auburn, Indiana, and Windsor, Ontario. All of those will be getting 49 missions. However, they may not all be contiguous as they have been to date. There will be some breaking out and sort of moving those into specific AOIs as we test some internal workflows. So delayed are Modesto, Titusville, Cochrane, Idaho Falls, Des Moines, Kearney, Greensboro, Petaluma, Statesville, and Worcester. We also have some Worcester. Now it's my turn to mispronounce things. We also have a solid slate already of smaller demand capture that we're working through that will be coming online throughout the week next week as we get them prepped and launched. There are also a set of missions in Oklahoma and a set of missions in West Texas. However, due to the remote nature of those, we're working with some specific pilots, but great indicators. There's also a first week of June, a Vancouver slate of missions coming up. So Vancouver, British Columbia, get prepped. You saw my request for pilots in Ottawa. There's a set of missions looking like it may move forward. As you can imagine, there's often some back and forth with clients as to what can be flown and when and timelines and things like that. But Ottawa also somewhere in the funnel. So excited to get those confirmed and get them on the board as quickly as we can. So it has been, as Bryce said, busy, heads down, shifting this, changing that, making sure that we are launching missions that help us understand our own internal workflows, understand our reach and our dynamic capabilities, your dynamic capabilities, and the network's ability to deliver on data in different areas of interest over different types of geographies, etc. So there's a lot going on in those spaces. I will get a graphic together as I can. Oh, I see you had Regina Monday. I think Regina is supposed to be, I read Regina twice. I will confirm and get a graphic together for everyone before the end of the day today. But Regina is launching. Just the date is in question in my mind now.
Got it. I was going off of the original schedule, so I believe there were a couple days that might be have double launches that are maybe spread out a little bit.
Question in the chat about Springfield. What state that is? I didn't say
Extremely
Springfield.
good. Sorry, can you repeat that?
The chat question is Springfield, what state? I have Regina, Sherman, Texas, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Auburn, Indiana, and Windsor, Ontario. Unless I can move.
There is no Springfield. I see the issue.
Correct. Springfield was maybe from this week. If we go back up, it was it was Monday, Springfield, Illinois. I believe it was on Monday. Okay. Bryce, back over to you. And welcome to the stage, Matt.
Absolutely. So first of all, just dropped this week's Ask a Pilot question in the chat. Get to it at your earliest convenience. Gentle reminder, last week we can reward XP for that. If you answer by 3:30 p.m., we will double it. PM Pacific time in the next hour. Let's be time zone friendly here. Apologies. Let's take it to other community updates. On the network side, over 10,000 USDC was awarded to pilots this week. And over 600 missions were flown on the app. Over the past month, nearly 70,000 USDC has been rewarded. Nearly 6,000 total flights have been made. And nearly 150,000 acres were imaged. And something really remarkable just for this call is our top pilot over the past month has earned nearly 10,000 USDC just on their own. It's truly wild. Speaking of, let's give it up for our pilot leaders from this week. That's Implicit Donkey, Golden Marmot, and Electrical Hookworm. These guys led in flights and RP earnings. Very much appreciated. I will be sharing the full top 10 tomorrow with the full leaderboards. On the community side, a bunch of familiar names here. In first place, and I'm sorry, I have to jump between your actual Discord names and your display Discord names every week to buy myself some time. In first place, Cowboy. In second place, Joe Baidu. And in third, Daijobe. Thank you guys so much. And actually, something I should note is our top 3 for this week is based off of this morning's XP totals. I've seen a lot of people asking questions and being helpful in the Discord since then, so they might have shifted slightly. Next week, regardless, it will be our last weekly and overall, I suppose, XP leaderboard. So we'll see where folks are there. But regardless, I will share the full top 10 with the rest of the leaderboards tomorrow. But it's not just the people who earned XP this week I want to shine the spotlight on. There were, let me count, four other people I want to give a call out to. First of all, already mentioned, kind of funny to bring a pilot in here as just a pilot. I'm not sure of their Discord name offhand, so maybe I'll look it up in our records. But Implicit Donkey has been leading our pilot leaderboards for over a month now. I've been getting real deep with our data ever since we've made the formal move to mainnet. It's been a lot easier for me. And seeing their performance has been incredible. Just wanted to say thank you for all your contributions as a pilot to the network. On the more community side, though, Cowboy has been leading the community in both XP and I don't know how else to put it other than good vibes, been helpful, been supportive, been just spreading the enthusiasm in a way that's nice, to put it simply. Likewise, Uzi has been active, supporting LayerDrone and Spexi on X, asking good questions. And as always, Daijube, the person I wanted to call out for maybe having a higher ranking by this point in the day, just by how helpful they have been in the Discord, pretty much at every opportunity. So it's appreciated. I'm sure getting sick of the sound of my voice, but I'm almost done. Newest episode of the Drone Network is live. It's all about what your drone actually sees. So probably one of the most common questions we've been getting that it's hard to give a good succinct answer to is what happens between you guys flying a mission and that drone data being used. And this episode is like 10 or so minutes of me trying to answer that question from end to end in a way. Hopefully that's helpful.
End up here answering that question. Hey, that's all right.
Well, maybe he can take a spin at it once we get past the Esri portion of our conversation. We've only got one last thing to call out on the community side. I wish I hadn't given it a little fanfare because it's once against me. The Drone Network has a new website that I built last night. Oh, what great work, guys! And that's it. So from this point, Graham, maybe we can get Ben to chat us through a couple of things, tell us about his background and role at Spexi, and Esri, and maybe some other questions from the community. I also do want to make sure that before the end of the call, we answer any of the questions that have been asked in advance. That's Uzi, Wills, Cowboy. We will make sure we answer your questions before 3 p.m. But for now, Ben, let's get you unmuted. And Graham, did you want to lead the chat with him?
Yeah, I mean, I had chatted with Ben briefly earlier in the week and asked him just to sort of bring a screen share. Ben, is it going to allow you to screen share? We maybe should have run a quick test on this.
Yeah, I think so. I think I should be able to screen share. And you can hear me okay? Sound check, all good?
Check, check. Yeah, we've got audio. So Ben works in our product marketing team, go-to-market strategy, and spends a lot of time thinking about our end users, that being the data user, not the pilot side user, but the data buyer and data user. So Ben, I'll pass it quickly over to you. We do try to stay pretty strict at time, so you've got about 8 minutes. Show us what you can.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Graham. Appreciate it. And happy to be here today. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you all. So let me just get my screen up. And as I'm doing that, I'll provide a really brief intro with my layer of focus, as Graham had mentioned. I've been focusing a lot on finding ways, easy and simple ways for our customers to adopt our imagery. And to provide a high-level overview as it relates to Esri itself, Esri and ArcGIS. These are the authoritative geographic information system softwares that a lot of larger businesses use. So for example, those that work in telecommunications, anyone that's managing your internet connections, fiber optic cables, right through to construction and engineering contractors. In many cases, they will use various spatial tools in their workflows. And Esri's ArcGIS product is one of them. And there's tens of thousands of customers around the world that use ArcGIS. Our imagery plugs right into ArcGIS through a number of different integrations, but one of the biggest challenges within the industry has been actually getting access to the data in a way that makes procurement really easy for these organizations. Oftentimes, in order to set up a new way to purchase the imagery, they got to go through a procurement process, and that can take months, right? Frustrating for everybody, not just the end users, but of course, for Spexi and for pilots. We want to ensure that we can get these jobs moving as quickly as possible. What I've done is I've shared my screen here. You should start to see a bit of a video appear. Graham, you're able to see that okay?
It just started going, yeah. So hopefully everybody's seeing what I'm seeing. Now it paused.
Yeah, I got it paused here. So I wanted just to provide a brief intro here. So what we're looking at here is brand new. It is the Spexi integration to the Esri Content Store. So within Esri ArcGIS, they have something called a Content Store. In the Content Store is where users can now order drone imagery directly. This is really important because they can use their existing procurement process they have with Esri, with the softwares that they've already purchased, to buy additional imagery as they need it. And as you all know, based on how the imagery and how the emissions are collected in a very on-demand, as-needed basis, it means that these organizations can now grab imagery for specific projects aligned to their operational timelines rather than rolling out a big imagery product. So I wanted to quickly just showcase a walkthrough of what that process looks like today. So this is actually the workflow of what any Esri user now, keep in mind, right, tens of thousands of users. This is how they will be able to order imagery as needed. So any of the areas we see here in green, these are already pre-approved areas where they're able to collect images. What we see here is we see a user bringing in one of those spatial layers, overlaying it on a map, and being able to start to walk through the process of how they will be able to make a request. This request will flow from Esri all the way back to Spexi and then directly to the network. So here we see this individual choosing dates when they need the collection to start. And this will be transmitted back to Spexi. We'll package it up as an order and we'll publish it to the network. And that's, of course, where the collections will take place. As this user goes through the process of conventionally naming and getting all their systems set up, what they're also doing is they're also programming where this data will flow once it's collected. And in just a second, you'll see what that workflow looks like. Keeping in mind, this is all contained within a software application that this user is very familiar with. So what's great about this is that they don't have to go to Spexi, they don't have to go anywhere else. They can place orders in a software they're very comfortable in operating in a day-to-day basis, which is great. For us to be closer to the user, it just means things move faster. And movement here means more orders. And we're really looking forward to seeing that grow. Now, we're not going to necessarily see thousands and thousands of orders start to flow through the network from the Esri channel immediately. This will take time because this is a completely new process that we're bringing to many of these customers. This is very new to them, and to wrap their heads around being able to not just order imagery on demand, but to do it in relation to their operational timelines will definitely take some time. But we've had some really exciting conversations. Just 2 days ago, I led a webinar where we had 30 different municipalities around the US and Canada join and learn about this project. So we're just starting to roll this out. As Graham and Bryce mentioned, this was part of our soft launch, and we're really excited to continue to make this grow. So hopefully this helps you kind of get a sense of some of the other go-to-market applications of Spexi, where we're looking to distribute the data and the thousands of users we're now putting this in front of. All really exciting, and you'll see more news coming out. June 25th is when we're having a large announcement.
Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, Ben. All right, folks.
I hadn't seen this video yet. I did watch the webinar, though, so I've just shared a link to the webinar Ben spoke about, which, as he mentioned, a number of different municipal organizations and government organizations, as well as some private construction and engineering firms were a part of. I have two quick call outs, community call outs, thank you call outs. One again is to Cowboy. We had a great chat, and he is also in the process of referring a previous employer. And another one is to Secured, who shared some really cool, so I guess, I don't know what you call them, plugins that he's created for the Spexi Web Explorer. So love those. If you didn't see them, they are in the pilot chat. They are in an open GitHub repository. And so if you're curious, go check those out. Pretty neat little tools. I know some things that different pilots have been asking for at different times. They are on our product team's roadmap, and it was awesome to see those. I took a few of those screenshots and went banging on the product team's door to say, hey, look, if Secured can do it, we should be able to do it too. Let's jump on this. So really cool. Take a look at those in the pilots chat. Yes, webinar is free to be reposted and shared. That would be amazing. Thank you, Centipede.
All right. Just make sure we get to some of the questions that were asked in advance of this call. I believe we've already answered this, but just to be clear, Uzi asks, Milton was delayed or canceled entirely this month, and will Windsor, Ontario, Canada happen at the end of the month, or will it be delayed? Thank you. Thank you for the thank you, Uzi. Now, Graham, I'm looking at you.
Windsor is going forward as planned. I missed the first part of the question as I was reading in the chat.
Basically, Milton was canceled or delayed. Will Windsor. Seems like a little
Milton
bit of context.
And delays are currently indefinite. TBA if those will be coming back in the form that we had planned them. I understand that for some pilots that is obviously frustrating. It is also frustrating for myself and our planning team, but some strategic decisions meant that we had to sort of redeploy and decide how to activate missions in a new way. And so we did so, and unfortunately that came down to delaying indefinitely some of our pre-planned missions. The planning still exists, so hopefully we can get some of them on the board before too long.
Absolutely. I'm just going to tear through a couple of these from Will's, one of our founding community members. Are we expecting a new Zealy campaign on the 28th? Nope, just a reminder that this is basically the end of new XP rewards. We've been running the program for a year, so we're going to pause it there. So no new tasks or campaigns tied to XP will proceed after the 28th. That is the last day you will be able to earn XP, and the last day you will be able to connect your Discord or wallet to Zealy to make sure that those records are validated. Cowboy asked earlier about where to send potential Spexi clients to. Always a good opportunity to share this link, spexi.com/referral-program. Is the place to do it. You'll never guess who answered that question. Daijobe. Thank you so much for that, as per usual. I believe you already answered this, Graham, but just to make it clear, from Cowboy, the roadmap for the rest of the summer. Has it been planned out? Is it still being determined? Are there any bigger projects coming up that can be shared with the community?
Nothing that's firm. I have alluded to a couple times a larger, I spoke earlier in the call about a large partnership announcement with Niantic The content store stuff is a big one for us with Esri, but directly with Esri, there is also potential for a capture program that we're working on, but none of that is firm or inked, so take it all with a grain of salt. As far as farther into the summer planning, strategy decisions there are still being made, and so no, unfortunately, we're doing a lot of last minute updates and changes, trying to inform certain product decisions and make the best of the information and turnaround that we have. But lots happening in the background as we try to figure out what the best next step forwards are at each turn. And so the missions we gather in pre-planning are usually deployed to either collect specific geographies that we want to think are valuable for a variety of reasons, and or to inform decisions around network strength and capability and product pieces of the product or product features that we want to integrate or add, or maybe we think will be valuable, but we want to test that they'll be valuable, etc. So you are seeing right now a fair number of the campaigns coming out with completion incentives added on. I can speak briefly to, we're at 3 o'clock, but to a few of the challenges, and these aren't necessarily, there's sometimes a network issue, sometimes an upload issue, sometimes, pilot timelines. But when we launch a campaign for a client and not all of the missions get complete, trying to figure out how to productize a solution for completing campaigns for clients and covering entire AOIs has been a big focus of ours over the last sort of 2-3 months as we get more and more of these demand campaigns, and we realize that can be a limitation of one pilot going out and collecting 70 or 80 or 90% of a campaign, but leaving 10%, and that remaining 10% not really being worth it for another pilot to go complete. So how do we build in product features that will allow us to ensure campaigns get completed 100%, that they get completed in specific timeframes, etc. So you saw last week we launched a few missions, and we continue to launch different missions with completion incentives. What is the volume of those? How are they announced? How do we create campaigns? How do we package that for pilots to understand it visually within the app? All of that stuff's being looked at and tested in different ways. So Matt on the call does a lot of measuring and forecasting and planning around sort of how do we understand the user behavior and user dynamics. I know there's lots of conversation in the chat about reservations and what those do. We understand that system obviously needs to be tweaked for certain scenarios, maybe changed quite dramatically in some cases. So you will notice now we do have the ability to launch missions that are non-reservable. That was sort of our first win. So lots of things like that. So sometimes there's going to be pivots, there's going to be changes. We are a technology startup. We are creating a net new Earth observation layer or geospatial data layer, and nobody's done this before. So we continue to iterate and pivot, and we give you as much notice as we can. And I know at times it feels like that's not very much notice, but it is what we have.
Absolutely. Cowboy had one other question before this call that I wanted to address, as I did explicitly say I would. Do you expect the length of the weekly meeting to change, hopefully increase anytime soon? Yes. So what I want to try next week, and I haven't necessarily run by Graham yet, so fun fact, Graham, is I want to try extending this call maybe upwards of 90 minutes. With the expectation that I would be on the call and host it that entire time, but maybe folks like Graham or Matt or Ben or Nav can cycle in for maybe a half an hour at a time. They do very important things on the team, whereas I'm more of a pretty face that could use some improvement. I think Olympic Leopard's question actually got answered already. Is there a safeguard to keep ArcGIS users from ordering prohibited airspace and lance required areas? Yes, short answer. You can see the longer answer in the chat. It also just occurs to me, if you are listening to this recording on YouTube, I apologize for not having the screen share attached to it. It was incredibly compelling. Oh, good stuff all around. Hopefully Ben's narration will take you through that. A last call for any last second stuff, guys. We're a few minutes past the hour and I apologize, but from what I understand, some of you guys are freaks like that and you love a meeting to go a little long. So happy to stay on if there are any outstanding questions we didn't get to, or comments, concerns, things of that effect. Otherwise, shortly after this call, I will share a recap, as well as the recording as soon as it's available. As always, it has to download, export, edit, yada, yada, yada. That'll be a much longer process next week. But from there, thank you guys so much for your time. Full leaderboards are coming tomorrow. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone. Joe Baidu, I just screenshotted your question to take to our product team. It is about multi-factor authentication for USDC withdrawals. Answer is good question.
Great question, Joe. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks all. Have a good afternoon.